I'd like to call this meeting to order of the International Falls City Council, 5:30 p.m., Monday, March 3rd. Please join us as we recite the pledge.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
It can be noted for the record that Councilor Kaler and Councilor Buller are absent tonight. We do have a quorum with 3. We do have an addition to tonight's agenda for a business license, which we'll conduct under other business if approved. Are there any other additions to tonight's agenda? Seeing no further additions, the chairman would entertain a motion to approve tonight's agenda.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilor Holden, a second by Councilor Wagner to approve the agenda. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 I'll vote yes. Agenda is approved, 3-0. Thank you. Next on tonight's agenda, approval of minutes, one set, minutes of the Tuesday, February 18th, 2025, regular city council meeting. The chairman would entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
So moved.
Motion by Councilor Wagner,
Second.
second by Councilor Holden. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
I'll vote yes. Minutes are approved, 3-0. Moving on, payments of claims and approval for payment of accounts payable. We have transfers in the amount of $593.38. Accounts payable and claims, City of International Falls claims, $546,164.15. Airport Commission claims $64,118.28. Airport Major Capital Project claims $1,650. Total accounts payable and claims $611,932.43. Chairman would entertain a motion to approve payments of claims.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Councilor Holden,
Second.
second by Councilor Wagner. Any discussion on payments and claims? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
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 I'll vote yes. Payments and claims are approved, 3-0. Good evening, Councilor Kaler.
Hi, my apologies.
And I believe we can add to the record that Councilor Kaler is now present. Would that be correct, Mrs. Nelson?
It is, yes.
Okay, thank you.
With a little tongue lashing involved too.
As we move on to audience open forum, before we begin, we have open forum essentially at the beginning and the end of every meeting. There's 5 minutes. Decorum must be observed during that time. I do want to address some concerns that I've received from the February 18th, 2025 meeting regarding some possible profanity that was heard on the recording. The council is bound by resolution number 27-13, Code of Conduct. In no way am I making any accusations towards this council or the public, but I would certainly ask that if the person present did make those suggestions, that the community could, or the council could receive an apology. With that being said, the audience open forum is open, 5 minutes. As you come up, please state your name and address for the record. Thank you.
Hello, Council. Austin Schaff, 432 Shorewood Drive.
Tom Schaff, 432 Shorewood Drive.
And Eldon Voigt, 2216 Crabtree Boulevard.
And we're here tonight because the intersection by Shorewood and Highway 1171 is very dangerous, and we almost get in T-bone accidents there all the time. What makes it dangerous is that when you're coming off of Shorewood, there's a little square sign that says "Do not block intersection." And when you're coming off the highway, that kind of looks like a stop sign. So the people coming off the highway think you're going to stop, when in reality, it's just kind of a warning sign. Originally, it was never a bad deal, but they put in the new Tractor Supply and the new grocery store, and now it's packed there all the time. So we're proposing a change to that. We don't really know what the best change would be. We personally think a stop sign replacing the "Do not block intersection" sign would really just solve the problem, but if there's something better, that would be good too.
We treat it as a stop sign right now because there's so many people turning off there, like Austin says, and they just come right in front of you. And I don't know how many times I've had people wave at me without all their fingers up because they're angry because I went through a stop sign, you know, and we don't have one. And otherwise, they shake their fist at you. They just, so we'd like to see a stop sign there or whatever would work best for it.
I would just add, you know, whatever works the best. I'm sure there's a traffic engineer that's seen intersections like that 10 or 15 times before, so if somebody would take a look and just come up with a good solution, that'd be it.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, and is what I would ask, along with the council, is if we could have this entered into the record, and then we'll add it to Public Works Committee. And we will discuss that, and you will receive a response. Thank you.
That is Monday.
Monday, I didn't even know that without looking.
Well, I know what it is, and I know it's 2:30 doesn't necessarily mean I'll be there right at 2:30, as I've proved here.
Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening. I need to take a minute. Inside right now, I am shaking. Absolutely shaking. I have thought long and hard about what I'm going to say. I have lived here my whole entire life. Last council meeting was the second meeting I have ever attended in my whole entire life. Both times were about taxes and about taxes being raised. Both times I got up and spoke. Last time when I got up and spoke, things were said, muttered over the microphones by City Council. I didn't know this at the time because obviously I was arguing my point and arguing facts. Facts, not stupidity. I wasn't speaking out my butt. I was arguing facts about taxes, my taxes. It was brought to my attention after I left this room that things were muttered under their breath. Councilor Kaler muttered as I was walking up for the second time to the microphone, "Oh, fuck, what does she want now?"
I don't believe I did.
Did? I seen it. Don't try to deny it. I have the video. I can prove it.
I'm going to, Mrs. Benedicts, I want you to speak like everyone here.
I will finish.
We cannot have profanity.
Those are the words he used, sir.
Yeah,
I
but-
have the video, and I can prove it.
And I understand that if you feel that way, but we can't have profanity and we can't have accusations, but please continue.
It's not an accusation, it is a
Okay.
fact. How am I supposed to tell what I'm supposed to tell if I can't say it? When it was said about me, all right? Days later, it was called to my attention that somebody on city council called me a CUNT word. A very vile and disgusting word. So I'm going to ask my counselors, did you call me a CUNT word? Mayor, did you call me a CUNT?
I did not.
Did you call me a CUNT word?
No.
Kaylor, did you call me a CUNT word? One of you called me a CUNT word. And guess what? I know who it is. I also have the video of somebody mouthing the word, and almost everybody in here knows who it was also. And if you think I'm going to end here, you got another thing coming. Like I said, that was my second meeting I've ever been to. My second meeting in my whole entire life. I am a taxpayer. You were voted in to represent your citizens. We are obligated to come here and tell you our problems. It is our right. We pay. We pay for you. We pay your wages. We voted you in to sit on those seats, and that's how we're treated? Somebody muttered retard in this room, and that's how we're treated? My second time being here, and that's how I'm treated? I am shaken to the core. I stay in my lane. I'm a law-abiding citizen. I don't even know half the people in this town. And because my taxes are getting raised and I'm worried about it and I come here and voice my opinion, that's how I'm treated? And don't you deny saying that about when I walked up here the second time because I got you on videotape.
Mrs. Benedict,
Okay.
we must observe decorum. I would
I
like,
am upset,
I understand that.
and I have every right to be upset.
I would like you to continue.
When my counselor
Okay.
greets me with such disgust and disdain because I'm coming back up here for the second time, I don't have a right to be upset.
No, it takes 3 people on the council to do that.
Do we know that for a fact?
Citizens that vote you in and citizens that counted you to your seats, and that's how we're greeted.
It takes, to waive it longer, it takes a majority of the council members present. I won't get my vote, not with the screaming and yelling.
Oh, what's the matter?
Mrs. Nelson,
We have a 5-minute talk, and that's it. And the only way to extend it in our charter is if 3 of the counselors give the okay to continue. But you won't get that, okay, Rhonda?
Forbid.
ma'am,
It's 5 minutes, the same way on the school board.
Heaven forbid.
Same thing.
Yeah.
I would like
I can
to,
be called dirty words.
I'm not
but
calling you
you're
any
gonna-
names at all, I'm
you're
just
gonna
telling you.
vote me off the table?
This is a charter of International
Yeah.
Falls.
Yeah. Yeah, you
if-
follow your rules now.
ma'am, if
Follow
I'm,
your rules. You call me every name you can,
I
but
have
you go
never,
ahead and follow your
Rhonda,
rules.
I have never called you a name, you know that.
I
Okay.
didn't say you called me one,
I never have.
but because you don't like what I'm saying right now, you go
I
ahead
am
and vote me
going
off
by
the
our
table.
charter.
Guess what? I'll stand up on my
Counsel-
own. I'll
counsel-
stand up on my own.
All right,
Counselor Holden, a couple things I'd like to address.
okay.
I'll come back up on the second 5 minutes.
I preside over the meetings. I was attempting to reach out to Mrs. Nelson about whether the 5 minutes is in the charter or not.
Right here.
Well, the charter has been changed.
No. It's 5 minutes, isn't it?
I don't believe it's in the charter.
I am,
Well, this is our, right here, this is our Rules of conduct for city council meetings, right here. And it says, each speaker will be allowed 5 minutes for his or her presentation unless the time limit is waived by the majority of the council commission members present. We got 3 people here. So we'd need a majority to continue past 5 minutes. That's what it said.
It
It
went,
wasn't a presentation of me bringing something about the city. It was a presentation
Put
of
for
me
vote.
being called certain words by your council.
if, I need to reach back to our attorney, so I'm going to vote no, because I think Mrs. Benedict should be allowed to continue, and I thought that I had that right as I presided. I may not, but there is a motion that is available to limit discussion, but I believe it requires a 2/3 majority to pass and cannot be discussed.
Chelsea, you want me to show you this, or
Tom, can you tell me the code you're looking at?
I don't care, she comes up.
code of conduct?
So is it a number in the charter, or is it an ordinance number?
This is City of International Falls, rules of conduct for city council and committee meetings. And here it says, each speaker will be allowed 5 minutes for his or her presentation, open forum, whatever you want to call it. Time limit is waived by a majority. They can extend it by a majority, it says here. One of ours, I don't know.
I'll try to find it.
Okay.
It's gonna take me a minute.
I understand, and I would also like to add that we have been flexible on this timeline in the past, and
I have no problem if she comes back.
I think
As
that
long as she ain't swearing.
I have no problem.
I would like to be consistent.
Should be in here.
It's not the term. Well, I believe you.
It even has our names. Right here. All in, well, yeah.
It looks like it's a policy, but not in the charter or the ordinances themselves, but it is a policy.
Okay.
I believe it's also part of the policy that you can't directly speak to any one singular member of the council.
They're not supposed to be able to single out a certain councilman.
Yep,
And
and
we've had
that's,
that happen before, and that, they're not supposed to do that.
and that's just in the policy too.
Yeah.
I will try to find exactly what policy it is, but it's not as readily available online as the charter and the ordinances.
Okay.
Mayor, if you don't mind, if,
ahead.
I don't recall saying that, but I'll take her word for it, and I apologize, that is very unprofessional, and I should know better, so.
I can't even see your face.
Well, I'm sitting where I'm sitting.
I-
I just want to let you know, I don't recall saying that, possibly could, especially maybe how the meeting was going, and I apologize, I should never have done that, that's no way for a counselor to act. So I apologize.
Thank you, Councilor Kaler. I would still invite you to come up.
He wasn't here when I asked the last question.
I do think that it would be appropriate that you are able to finish. And please, let's observe decorum for all parties. Thank you.
So, again, I asked you if you said the C-U-N-T word.
I did not.
You denied it.
Yeah,
You are on video saying it.
I don't, well, that I did not say. I do
Did.
not believe.
You did.
I don't believe I did.
That is unprofessional, which is funny because at the beginning of the last meeting, you told Sue you wouldn't answer her email because that would be a professional move on your part because that would be her calling you a liar.
Yep.
But it's not unprofessional to call somebody a C-U-N-T?
It is unprofessional. And if you say I did that, then I apologize.
That's all you have to say for yourself?
What more do you want me to say? I apologize.
You clearly have disdain for people coming up here and speaking and going against the council for things that they believe in their hearts that they don't want their tax money spent on. So clearly, you should step down.
Well, I'm
Or
not
be
going to.
fired.
I can't be fired, but I'm not stepping down, and I apologize. Those were unprofessional statements. I don't believe I said the C word, but if you say I did, apparently I did. So I apologize for that too, but I'm not stepping down. There's a recall petition out, so that's where we're at.
Clearly is. You clearly need to be off your seat,
Okay.
if that's how you conduct yourself.
All right, I take what you're saying, and I'm listening, okay? I don't know what else I can tell you, except I apologize.
Your body language when I walked back up here, when you were saying it, clearly showed your disdain for me walking back up here to say something else.
Mrs. Benedict,
No.
I do need to intervene now.
I understand.
On the city's behalf, I want to, as follows, that any matters relating to this, I would hope that you would reach out to our city attorney who is here, because I think that the path that I'm sensing this going, because there are things being alleged that would not be something that could be resolved this evening.
I'm sure you have seen the videos. I'm sure you have. And if one of you have daughters up there, I would hope the heck that you would feel the same way that I do. I didn't do anything wrong in the last city council meeting. I did nothing wrong. I came up here and spoke facts. That's all I did. And I didn't deserve that. And I hope the heck that something gets done, because that's wrong
Thank you.
and unprofessional.
Public comment is open. Name and address for the record, please.
My name is Bill Valentine. I live at 1504 Fifth Avenue East. I have a letter here from another citizen of our fine town that could not attend tonight, but he's got the letter addressed to the mayor, Betty Bergstrom, and city council members. So I'm just going to read his letter. He left me a copy. I'll give it to you, Drake, when we're done. If you don't mind, is that all right? I'm reading for someone else. It says, Mr. Mayor and City Council members, I attended the February 18th meeting of the City Council. I really feel like the facts were misrepresented and some questions I would like answered. Unfortunately, this is from Wayne. He's forced to be out of town for medical reasons, so we've asked that this letter be read during open forum. I'm not sure if we were allowed to address questions to Betty Bergstrom, but I would like to know where her information came from regarding the condition of the current law enforcement center. What she sent in the email response to Susan Wadega. Councilman Holden, you repeatedly said that you have spent a lot of time looking into the IFPD situation. When you toured the county LEC, how many of the issues mentioned in Betty's email response did you witness firsthand? Which council members toured the law enforcement center to see these issues firsthand? The council plans to use over $300,000 worth of city labor to bring the price down to $1.6 million. That's a question. Mr. Fuller goes on, I went and toured the first floor of the law enforcement center and spoke to staff there who said that the issues in Betty's email response were caused by inmates, so no inmates equals no more issues. The consensus I got was that it could use a little paint and some ceiling tiles, but is completely functional as is. The sheriff's department had planned to stay in the old LEC, but it was decided that they needed space in the new facility to provide better inmate safety. If the information in the email response was not firsthand knowledge, then it was hearsay. And if we're allowing hearsay as part of the public forum, then Mr. Buller has been telling people for months that the IFPD would never return to the law enforcement center. I have not heard that myself, but have heard it from numerous others. It appears that the law enforcement center and Bacchus were never really considered as options. and the council went through the motions in an attempt to appease the public while they continued to move forward with the Kataska option. I spoke with many people over the past couple weeks, and almost everyone was under the impression that the council was presenting the entire Kataska project at $1.6 million. I had to submit a public records request to find out where that number came from. There is currently no bid for $1.6 million. And the fictitious number only represents phase 1 of a phase 2 plan. The actual costs are currently $1.95 million for phase 1 and nearly $1.1 million for phase 2. I don't remember ever hearing about this phase plan during council discussions. He's referencing the February 18th meeting. Oh, no, the 1.6 was being represented as the entire project. Mr. Wagner addressed me while I was in the gallery about me misrepresenting the debt service for the project as more than the lease offer from the county in the old LEC. He said that the debt service would only be $110,000 and the county bid was nearly $50,000 more. So they were looking out for the taxpayers. We went back and forth about the county lease being all-inclusive, and Mr. Wagner said that he felt they could certainly heat the building for $50,000. I spoke to the maintenance director of the current law enforcement center, who not only confirmed it's in good condition, but supplied me with copies, and these are attached, of operating costs that must be reported to the Department of Corrections annually. The 3-year average for operation of the LEC is $127,972.36 per year. So even if we take half that cost because there will no longer be inmates, we're still at $63,986.18. Your Kataska space is similar in size and requires similar installation of specialized equipment that the LEC currently has. So I expect those numbers to be similar. So in response to Mr. Wagner, no, you cannot provide all the items included in the county lease offer for $50,000. Reports are attached to the letter. The council said they plan to use internal labor to reduce the cost, but I was thinking they intended to use internal labor to come in under $1.6 million. The use of internal labor was to get down to $1.6 million from the unpublicized and undiscussed $1.95 million actual cost. What is the debt service for the actual cost of $1.95 million? And how does that compare with the county's lease offer? How does the council plan to accomplish this when the city staff no longer have time to do building tear-downs, and we're also unable to assist with the city's landfill closure, which is currently exceeding $700,000? I'm not going to use the dangerous trigger word of transparency because I believe the way information was presented during the February 18th meeting were purposely misleading. To defend this point, I point to the motion made by the council to move forward with the Kataska project with Kraus Anderson with no mention of a phase or not to exceed. You do realize that phase 1 Kataska project doesn't come close to the minimum requirements outlined in the letter sent to the county on January 25th, 2025. Phase 1 of your committee of the whole non-public plan would be about half the building and no garage space. So let's compare apples to apples. In closing, I would ask the council for the following. If we are looking out for the taxpayers of this city, then consider rescinding your original motion and have it read, motion to move forward with Kraus Anderson on phase 1 of the Kataska building not to exceed $1.6 million. Sincerely, Wayne Fuller. Thank you.
Thank you. I will disseminate this to each member of the council when I have copies. Is there any other public comment?
Councilors, Mr. Mayor.
Name and
Steve Blair,
address.
1301 7th Avenue.
Thank you.
I, too, had questions on this, the motion. I didn't read the minutes. I didn't know how it was read in the minutes, but an open-ended motion like that, I mean, that, red flags went off immediately. I mean, Cross Anderson come back and charge the county $4 million, and you're on the hook for it. You have no clause in the motion to approve it, limiting what their scope of their work can do and how much. So basically, they can just go out there and just have a good old time and have, you know, turn that thing into you know, tear it down and rebuild it, basically. I drove by it, and it does not look that great. I don't know. I mean, the exterior maybe is rough, but I don't know what the inside looks. The exterior is very rough. I don't know what the inside looks like. But you know, there was a comment at the last meeting that we have the best law enforcement in the whole state. Well, you know, maybe if that person was on the other end of it, they would think different. I moved over to my house in 2022. There was a basketball court and a tennis court. The city proceeded to mill it up and leave it a big mess. I went over, I caught kids throwing chunks of tar from that demo site, it should have been fenced, at the playground equipment. I went over and yelled at them. They proceeded to call me names and said karma's a bitch, and I was at Boondocks Bingo that night. I come home.
Mr. Blair, and I want to let the room know, the council and the audience, the decorum and the verbiage.
I'm sorry.
Please do not use
I'll
profanity.
tone it up.
Thank you.
I come home approximately 8 o'clock that night. There's a chunk of tar about the size of a bowling ball thrown right at my garage door. Bent the panel and a big dent in my garage door. I called the police. They came, I filed a report. I gave him a picture of the kids. He said, well, I'll get back to you in about 3 days. It was 3 weeks. I never heard nothing. So I thought, whatever, you know. Okay, so come about a month later, some bigger kids are over there throwing chunks of tar at the playground equipment. I talked to one of the city workers. I said, you know, these guys are over there throwing. Doesn't surprise me, he drove off. You know, I was hoping he would go over there and yell at him, but no. Anyways, I ended up in a big feud with these kids. They targeted me because I called the cops. So basically, I was threatened twice. Once by a dirt bike to run me over, and the second time by a four-wheeler to run me over. And I've worked with the police. I've worked with them. They never gave me any ounce of help. Finally, the officer I dealt with said, well, if you don't like it, you can call a conservation officer. Well, I left for this meeting. They're starting to ramp it up again. They're tearing around behind Cary Park on a four-wheeler and a dirt bike, and when I left my driveway, he come down the alley and he was doing a wheelie right by my house.
Thank you. I would like to add a couple things. I would let each counselor speak individually as well. If there is any concerns about the IFPD, Chief Koscheck is in attendance, and I would ask you to reach out to him directly. But my position as the mayor, it's a small community, and there's great things about small communities, and naturally there's flaws. But we have a wonderful police department, and we have some wonderful officers that are out there every day, all night, serving the community. So as we proceed with this, if there's future discussion about Kutaska or the Law Enforcement Center, I'd ask that it's kept to a space discussion because that's what this is about. Anyway, with that, public comment is back open unless a counselor would like to say anything.
Are we letting them up now, or?
Yes, yes, comment is open.
Just really quick. Council? Ed Bates, 108 Riverview Boulevard. I actually don't even have a question for you so much as I do actually for Mr. Ojala, if that's okay. This is the owner's manual, instruction manual for your camcorder in the back there, and I know that there was some discussion about whether or not anything that was said with regard to Ms. Ball or Ms. Benedict's. And I found this in here, that if an external microphone is plugged in, that the onboard microphone is turned off. Is that accurate?
Yes, that is accurate.
Okay, that's all I need to know. Thank you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Mayor, may I clarify? Mr. Bates? Mr. Bates, may I clarify, please?
Please do.
So actually, in response to the video, we did do some testing, and essentially I whispered all throughout the room, and the mics, not necessarily the camera mics, picks up whispers all throughout the room. So I appreciate your question, but I think a more in-depth answer can answer it better than just yes or no. So I wanted to provide that information. It is also a multi-track system, or a single-track system, I apologize. So the individual microphones don't have their own individual track. It all saves as one.
Good evening.
Good evening. I'm Joe Cantor. I'm from 1607 13th Avenue West in International Falls, Minnesota. I'm here tonight. In discussion of last week's microphone, there was a little bit of conflict going back there when I was there, and somebody said something to somebody else, and it was kind of intimidating, whatever it was. And I didn't know about it until the next day when I looked at the video, but I know who it was. I'm not going to bring up a name, but I'll tell you what, that is something that is completely wrong. The microphone was not on, as I would have heard it, or a lot of other people would have heard it if the mic was turned on. It wasn't. I mean, that's my investigation of what happened here. So what was said, I believe, Pete, after you and Mike Holden were whispering in the background there.
We whispered one time.
You were whispering and I heard it.
No, I turned to Pete and we
You guys were talking to each other just after it was said about the R word. Yes, it was.
I don't remember what we were talking
Well,
about.
maybe I just remind you and it was in the video.
That's fine.
And I don't think you should chew me out over that.
Okay, go ahead.
And not only that, I'm here tonight because I want to represent the IBW 294. That's a local union that you're well aware of.
Yeah.
And if they're going to do the Kuchai-Tasca building and try to cut profits in it, it's the wrong way to go. I mean, it's right in one way where you could get the city involved in doing some of the tear down or whatever, but as far as electrical go, that's 100% electrical done, union or non-union.
Yeah,
And we are union, you know that.
I got that.
And what was being said about the city,
I wasn't going to
Doing it.
speak a whole lot tonight, but I will tell you this, okay, Joe?
okay, you tell me.
We have a master electrician on.
Oh, I know you do.
Yeah.
And I know who it is.
Yeah.
And you know
We're
what?
going to have him possibly doing some tear down stuff and, you know, saving on some money. That's all.
Well, I think it should be under a contractor for one thing.
Well, I used to do
It's
a
got to
lot
be
of
somebody
that.
that's insured and bonded and licensed with the state of Minnesota.
The
Of course
city-
we do.
Okay, just a minute now. The
Okay.
city has a registered master electrician, and the insurance is covering him. Rusty Blaze is a master electrician. He's done a ton of work.
Oh, yeah,
And he is-
absolutely. I trained
I was
him.
listed as the master electrician for close to 30 years, okay?
Yes, you have. And I'm a brother, you're a brother,
But listen
and
to
I
me
think,
now.
okay.
I was registered with the state of Minnesota, and I could do all the new work I wanted to do. I'm allowed to. The city was my insurance. They had me listed, the city did, as their master electrician. Done deal.
Uh-huh. And what were you bonded for? How much? For
I
doing all that
have no
work?
idea.
You have no
The city
idea?
covered my work all the time.
Well, they won't. Not through the state of Minnesota.
They did.
You're BSing me here.
No, I'm not.
Yes, you are.
Why would I BS you?
Because you are, because I know
I can prove
Hanson
it.
Hanson Electric is doing a job.
I can prove it. I
Mr.
got contacts down in the
Okay.
state. I
I'm
can
watching
prove
the
it.
clock.
If there's certain questions please direct them, and I want to make sure that we get an answer for them. When there's specific questions, I'd like to pass that discussion, and that way we can get an answer and get to the bottom of it. Thank you.
Okay, I've got a little deal going on with the union, so we'll see who's wrong and right about that.
You
Can I
bet.
just finish that little thing? I personally thought I heard him say to me that he was worried that the city is taking union jobs.
Never.
I,
Oh, the only thing we're doing there is
am I wrong?
Sharon.
Sorta not.
It sounds like it was mismatched, is
No,
what I heard.
no.
Yes, it was. It was here at the February 18th meeting.
I'm just saying, back to what we were talking about, master electrician, okay?
Yeah, I know.
I was registered, I'm insured by the city of International Falls, I filed for inspection on all my work,
Right,
everything.
okay.
And you can check into that all you want, Joe.
And I am.
Good, that's good.
Yep. Following up on things.
Yep.
There's about a minute and a half left if you would like to address
I
it.
thought we were separate people. I just came up to give him moral support.
Oh, okay, if you'd like to speak, please, I would like you to.
It might take a couple more minutes than 5 minutes because I do have anxiety issues, and obviously, people have more than one diagnosis, and I just realized I'm 100% ADHD, and I had to start pills so that I wouldn't be going everywhere but where I was supposed to go. So it might take me a second more, okay? And I'm not going to point fingers. Well, I mean, I'm going to say exactly what I have to say. I think it'll be quick enough. My first real experience with coming to the city council meeting was a really bad experience. And I was abused at that meeting, and I don't think half of you really knew what was going on. And the community obviously thinks I was being what they call a Karen. I'm actually a Sharon, but nonetheless. With that, I followed the proper channels. I saw something I considered to be vandalism. I looked it up on my phone. I looked under ordinances. I knew that these people should have gotten the city's permission, and I have the video of the person who said they did not have permission, but she'd get it, okay? That's all I have, everything I've ever said on video, okay? So I came to you guys, and the reason I came to you was because the way that the police dealt with it, and the way that the people who had cut those branches down came on their Facebook and tore me apart, because I had been a citizen. I mean, I did not get a law enforcement degree because I hate police. I did not work in a correctional facility in Carson City, Nevada, okay, because I hate police. I was married to a chief of police, and I have been an investigator for many years, okay? But what happened, I came in here because I felt like it was mishandled, and it was all over Facebook. And you know what? If it hadn't and this was while I was running for mayor, by the way, and if it had not affected the dogs, I probably wouldn't have gotten so passionate about it, because that's what I was working with, okay? Ruined my reputation, destroyed me. I did not come in here to prove I was right. I came in here to prove to you. I wanted the public to hear that I was not just taking stuff and making it up. I wanted the council to say, no, they did not. I didn't want really any punishment. I just wanted the council to say, no, they did not have permission. It was a misunderstanding. We thank you for being a good enough citizen to come forward because we ask people to come forward when we see any type of vandalism, and that is all I was trying to do. And if you check my record, you will see I've never been in trouble in my entire life. And I've got 3 college degrees, and I've worked my whole life and been at really hard times. So, that said, I typically, and I know that the chief of police, the police know this about me because they have come to my house when I actually went into one of my clinical anxiety attacks. And I know that people know that I had a work dog for years. And there was a reason for that, because when I get too anxious, I guess you call it faint, hyperventilate, whatever. I've broken my head open, so I started getting a service dog. I started learning how to train, and I did the best I could with a disability that was debilitating. And I got it through doing surveillance, okay, and through a really, really abusive. So when I come here and I get this call, I got this message much after the meeting. Can you imagine how I felt to be called retard and to find out I wasn't even allowed on a public forum where it was all being showed? I don't know why that was, and that upsets me, but now 25,000 people know my name because it's on there. And it says, you may think Sharon's spacey, or you may not like her. How do you think that works for me? I had to call my counselor that night, suicidal. And you can push people. And yes, I did make some, I protested. Because I felt the way that I was treated when I came here about that tree branch. Like you were waiting for me. And I was pounced on. And there are so many systemic problems that go on here. And I think it needs to be where you return to realizing that you don't have to, we can only afford so much. We don't think that the police aren't necessary. We just don't know if we can afford everything. And that's all we're saying. And if my taxes went up 40% in 1 year, doesn't matter if it came from the county or you, it's still coming out of my pocket. 40%, I just retired. That's $1,250 extra in 1 year. And so, yes, the last meeting was really hard because of the way that I felt I got treated. But to be called a retard, you don't know, and I am getting my 160-pound Great Pyrenees ready to be the best service dog ever, and anybody knew my Tank. He was a big boy, and everybody loved him, but he's a good service dog. And I will be coming to these meetings with my credentials and that big dog, and I'm going to tell you this also. I was accosted. I was intimidated in this meeting. The last meeting, February 18th. Police were all sitting in front of me by the chief's father. And I was intimidated or called out by another counselor's wife. And I can't live that way. I want to work with dogs. This has hurt my business. This has destroyed me because everybody wanted to throw everything under the bus. And I'm going to tell you, Mayor, this is not towards you. When Harley was here in this council, they even threw the chief under the bus, or at least he tried. I watched it, and so did everybody else. It's a matter of not covering your butt, and I think our administrator was covering her butt. And I don't think you guys all have the true story, because if you knew me as a person, you would know
Ms. Ball,
I'm a good person.
thank you for your testimony, and I want to make it clear that going forward, I would like to speak on behalf of the council that taxpaying citizens or citizens of our community can come up and feel that they have the ability to talk freely and openly. With that, thank you.
Thank you, sir. And thank you, council.
Is there anyone yet to come forward?
Are you guys hot? They're just asking about it. You're hot too? Can we, I don't know if I'm sweating because it's hot.
Can we open the window?
Please do. Please do. Will you be coming forward, or is this,
If I have to, I'll put a coat on, but even I'm hot right
Wait,
now.
you're
Is my
cold?
face? No.
Oh.
If I do, because I'm by the window, but I feel like my face is turning red. I'm so glad I'm not the only one. I was like, wow, my anxiety's higher than I thought it would be.
The other ones are getting them.
I could have just passed them.
Oh, not sad. Okay. Oh, yeah, there's a heater right there.
good evening.
Mr. Mayor, thank you for your time. Thank you for being patient with us.
Name and address for the record, please.
My name's Reynold Calder. Live at 1901 6th Avenue East, International Falls.
I would like to also point out to the council that you did reach out to me and originally asked to be on the agenda. So I'd like you to proceed. Thank you.
It's a pretty decisive thing we have to discuss. I'd like to make some preliminary comments that aren't taxed against my 5 minutes, if I could.
Yes, that's why I mentioned that you had reached out. I didn't add you to the agenda, but you had reached out directly, so please continue.
My comments today are about basically in response to an article I wrote in the paper. I hope you all read them. Could I have a nod from council if you read them? Thank you. Some of what I'm going to say is going to be repetitious from that article. So I'm going to go ahead and read this so I don't lose track of the important things I want to say. My comments relate to an article I wrote in this week's Gazette. The study I referred to was a study conducted for a standalone facility for the city of Del Mar, California, an affluent coastal community in California. The study was conducted by Ralph Anderson and Associates in 2015, so it is a bit dated. As a side note, Del Mar is an affluent coastal community. Average income is about $45,000. The median income is about $187,000. The median property value is $2 million. Del Mar has contracted to the Sheriff's Department for law enforcement. The study I referred to was for the possibility of constructing their own standalone police station. Square footage recommendations relied on were based on FBI recommendations. The recommendations were a guide. Some communities may require more or less space. In order to get an idea what our needs may be, I asked our city administrator, Betty, thank you, Betty. Betty's not here, but thank you, Betty, for providing that information. I asked our city administrator how many officers and squad cars we have. We have 10 vehicles, 14 officers. The sheriff's department has 12 vehicles and 12 officers. At the new LEC, the sheriff's department will occupy about 5,000 square feet. If the police department went to the new LEC, we might be able to get by with 5,000 square feet. The forces are similar in size. For everyone's perspective, I want you to imagine what 13,000 square feet is. It's 22% of a football field. 22% of a football field. A football field is 57,600 square feet. Why do you need 13,000 square feet? Why was the quote at the LEC asking for 10,300 square feet? Who did that? Who wants to take ownership for that? It seems to be an inflated number for some reason. Can I address Councillor Holden? Or?
Yeah, you can.
Thank you.
Yep.
Councillor Holden, you mentioned you did a walk through at Kutaska.
Yes, I did.
You mentioned you studied this issue.
Yes, I did.
You concluded Kutaska is the best location, bar none.
I know I said our police staff is the best police staff, bar none. The best police in the state of Minnesota.
I'm corrected, thank you, sir.
Okay.
When I'm finished, would you explain how you came to the conclusion that Kutaska is a good deal? I'm not going to say what I said before. Okay. I want you to, if you would, please.
Yeah, I took a walk through it.
Excuse me.
Oh, you want to finish? Okay, go ahead.
I'm hoping for some actual numbers, some facts, or a comparative study you relied on. Can you assure us you actually put serious thought into your decision?
Yeah, I wouldn't lie to the public. People, just a minute now, okay?
No, it's my
Okay,
turn.
go ahead.
A walkabout doesn't qualify for making a $5 million decision. You can address that. Let us assume our demographic continues to diminish. If the tax base declines to the point we have to consolidate the two law enforcement departments, what happens to Kutaska? I'm asking this, and I think anyone that knows anything about construction will agree with me. Kutaska is the worst possible decision you could make. It's the worst decision this council could make. Will you rescind your vote on Kutaska? Will you do that tonight? Finally, I prepared a square footage comparison, a comparative analysis. It will show you Kutaska is the most expensive option. I have here a cost per square foot analysis. Lisa, if you would pass that to the council members now, you can take a look at that. I did pass around, everyone has one. My comments are done. If you have questions, I'll entertain them. I'm done.
Thank you for reaching out, and as I said, you'd originally asked to get on the agenda, and you worked with our staff, and thank you.
Thank you, and thank Betty. And the chief responded and gave me a call. I also talked with the sheriff, so I hope my figures are right and my assumptions are right. With all due respect, any questions?
Only thing I would say is I would never lie to the public, okay? Never.
I do have,
Seriously, I'm telling you, I wouldn't lie to the public. You can laugh or whatever, but I would never do that.
thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Calder. Because we do have an opportunity at the end of the meeting for comment if necessary, I'd like to move on. Did we have bids open this evening, Lisa?
No, we do not.
Okay. With that, we'll move on to old business, to approve second and final reading of an ordinance authorizing the Housing and Redevelopment Authority in and for the City of International Falls to exercise the powers under Minnesota statutes on behalf of the City of International Falls. This is the second reading to approve. It has to do with West Falls Estates and a rehabilitation that's going to take place. The borrowing is not, we are fronting the deal, where there's no liability to the city with the borrowing. So with that, the chairman would entertain a motion to approve the second reading of this ordinance.
So moved.
Second.
Motions by Councilor Wagner, second by Councilor Holden. Any further discussion? Call the question.
Aye.
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 I'll vote yes. Ordinance is approved on a 4-0 vote. Thank you. We don't have a consent agenda this evening. On to new business. To approve use of the Irvin N. Anderson Amphitheater for the Riverfront concert sponsored by Bacchus Community Center in conjunction with the International Falls 4th of July celebration, submitted by Lois Lundin, Executive Director of Bacchus. The chairman would entertain a motion to approve that usage.
I'll move.
Second.
Motions by Councilor Kaler and Councilor Wagner. Any discussion? Seeing no further discussion, question.
Aye.
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 I'll vote yes. Amphitheater usage is approved 4-0. Thank you. Number 2, new business, adopt a resolution application for exempt permit for the Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation on the Ash River Trail to conduct a raffle with the drawing to be held at Bacchus on April 4th, 2025. The chair would entertain a motion to approve this application.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Councilor Holden. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Councilor Kaler. Any discussion? Question.
Aye.
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 I'll vote yes. Application is approved unanimously 4-0. Thank you. Next on the agenda, number 3, new business, adopt a resolution. Application and permit for a 1-day to 4-day temporary on-sale liquor license application and permit for the St. Thomas Aquinas Catholic School in connection with the St. Thomas Aquinas School Gala on Friday, May 2nd, 2025. The chair would entertain a motion to approve this application and permit.
So moved.
We have a motion by Councilor Wagner,
Second.
second by Councilor Holden. Any discussion? Question.
Aye.
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 I'll vote yes. Motion carries unanimously 4-0 for this application and permit. Thank you. Number 4, new business, approve continued participation in the Northeast Minnesota Home Consortium Joint Powers Agreement. Chair would entertain a motion to approve this continued participation.
I'll move.
Motion by Councilor Kaler,
Second.
second by Councilor Wagner. Just any discussion on this topic? Question.
Aye.
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 I'll vote yes. This participation is approved on a 4-0 vote. Thank you. New business, number 5, approve International Union of Operating Engineers, Local 49, collective bargaining agreement.
I'll make that motion.
We have a motion by Counselor Kaler. Is there a second?
Holden it was.
Oh, I'm sorry. Excuse me. We have motions on the floor by Counselor Holden and Counselor Wagner. Is there any discussion to those motions? Question?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. I'll vote yes. Motion carries 4-0. We have an agreement. Thank you. New business number 6. Consider letter of congratulations for Macy Russo, who received honorable mention in the Mayor for a Day essay contest, which was held by the League of Minnesota Cities. I added this to the agenda. I believe she's in 6th grade, and I think it would be very appropriate that she receive a letter on our behalf congratulating her for quite the accomplishment in public service. With that, I'd entertain a motion to approve the letter.
I'll move.
Motion by Counselor Kaler.
Second.
Second by Counselor Wagner. Is there any discussion? Question?
Oh, aye.
Aye.
Aye. I'll vote yes. Motion carries 4-0. Thank you. Number 7, we typically would not talk about this right away at the city council meeting, but we're in a time crunch, March 14th deadline. I found it in my email box. This is to consider submitting for community project funding to Congressman Stauber's office. So right now, the federal government, I believe, is operating under a continuing resolution. But typically, when they set a budget, then Congressman Stauber's office, or whoever was occupying that seat, would have 14 or 15 projects that communities can apply for funding, which are typically towards needed brick and mortar assets. So we have a water plant rehabilitation project on the horizon. I don't believe that that is set in stone at this time. We have authorized a state bonding request from the legislature of $4.8 million, and I believe that bill will drop this week. After some discussion today with Congressman Stauber's aide, John Eloranta, he had indicated that there's a $3 to $5 million sweet spot for these projects, no guarantee. But their wishes from their office would be that we take the engineer's estimate for the plant, subtract the amount of $4.8 million, which we've asked the legislature for, and apply for the rest as an appropriation through Congressman Stauber's community projects, with the understanding that if the project was awarded, it may not be that whole amount, but it might be some. With that, the floor is open for discussion.
I would think it would be great if we could get that. I mean, I think this is something we need to do as soon as we possibly can to make sure we're on time.
Agreed.
Would it be okay if I just had him here for moral support even though he has a question?
Please explain.
Because last time you thought we only had 5 minutes between us.
You're welcome to come up when public comment reopens.
Oh, I thought that's what you called.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, misunderstood.
It will open again. With that being said, we would have until March 14th to submit this project. We would need to work with Public Works Director Brokaw, with our engineer Bolton and Menk as well. But is there a motion to approve pursuing this application?
So moved.
I have a motion by Counselor Wagner. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Counselor Holden. Any further discussion? Question?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. I'll vote yes. Submission passes on a 4-0 vote. Thank you. Number 8, new business. I would entertain a motion to postpone this and send to Public Works Committee. Do we have a motion?
I'll move.
A motion by Counselor Kaler. Do we have a second? By Counselor Holden. Any discussion? Question?
Aye.
Aye.
I'll vote yes. Motion carries 4-0 to refer to Public Works Committee. Thank you. 9, any other new business? We have a business license that has been added to the agenda for America's Best Value Inn and Suites.
That's correct.
For a restaurant.
For a restaurant license. Chair would entertain a motion to approve that business license.
So moved.
Motion by Counselor Wagner. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Counselor Holden. Discussion? Question?
Aye.
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 I'll vote yes. Business license is approved 4-0. Thank you. Reports of all boards, committees, and department heads. Anything outstanding this evening, if anybody'd like to come forward that works for the city? Seeing none, we do have another opportunity for audience open forum. The 5 minutes will be strictly enforced, but please, if someone was not able to come forward, please do so at this time. Do we have any correspondence?
Julie?
For open forum, they want to come up here.
Please come forward. But for anyone that comes forward because of the nature of the meeting, no, it's 5 minutes, but please, thank you.
Okay, I was just going to ask a couple of quick questions I forgot to ask. If I get on the agenda, well, this all started with fireworks because they were right over my dog grooming business this year, and trees were, I was worried about getting caught in that forested area, so that's where this started. If I get on the agenda for certain things, how long do you have to talk to the council to present what you have to say?
So one is you can reach out to city staff, Betty or Lisa or myself, and it can be added to the agenda. The agenda has to be approved on a unanimous vote.
Okay.
But typically, the idea of getting on the agenda is with a presentation or a specific issue, and then it's up to the council to discuss and eventually get somewhere with it.
Okay, so my other question is this. If I have suggestions or ideas or things that have happened to me that have felt pretty threatening, okay, and I'm going to say, it's only been 2 officers, and I can honestly tell you, I've never felt intimidated by the sheriff's department ever, okay, that I did. And I'm wondering, I can go to the post board, and I have talked to them, and I have talked to the sheriff, I have talked to the chief of police, and I have talked to the deputy chief. If I come to the board and I tell you about some of the things, are you able to handle it, or do I have to go? I want to go by proper protocol, and I'm just saying these are things that really were out of line, and I have talked to people about it. So don't you go to the council?
Is it with deputies or
No,
city
no.
police?
The city police, and that is your jurisdiction, I heard.
Yep. Yeah, I thought you said deputies, that's all.
Okay.
I
No, I
just
never
wanna
had
make
problems
sure.
with deputies ever. And honestly, it's only been 2 people
I would ask
over and over.
Attorney Nelson on that. I know that we do have a process. I'm not sure what it is.
Okay.
So I'd start with Chief Koscheck.
I did that.
If Chief Koscheck can't resolve it, there's 2 options. There's some sort of grievance process that you can do, but you can also, Administrator Bergstrom oversees all the department heads. The council oversees Administrator Bergstrom. And I know that doesn't look like the answer you want, but that's the process as far as...
Well, just because when I've gone through Administrator Bergstrom before,
Ms. Ball?
it didn't work out.
Chief Koscheck raised his hand, so I would like to give him the opportunity.
I would just add also the Minnesota Post Board.
That's what I'm talking about, the
Yep,
Post Board.
yep. So the typical, you would start with us, and I know you've met with the deputy chief. He handles all the internal affairs. If you're unsatisfied with the outcome of that investigation, you can also contact the Post Board. And I can give you that information.
I already have it, I've already talked to him, but I just was trying before I sent any kind. Like I said,
I would also contact.
I would like to meet with your office at some point, and I will talk with you, if that's okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, thank you very much. And then the other question I had, I didn't hear it. What did you decide about the LEC building? I was just curious. Did you go ahead, I was asking about cost analysis. I was asking that you guys kind of hold off a little bit and give us a cost analysis through the county, because I do know the county said that they would work with them, and I mean, they were willing to make quite a few. And you know, you can smile, and I don't know, but my taxes are all going out the door anyways, no matter where they go to. So I'm wondering what you decided about the LEC building. Are you just going forward, or what's going on?
Thank you. That is 5 minutes, but I will address your question. The council, thank you. The council did vote at the last meeting, the February 18th meeting, to move ahead with the Kutaska project. The exact specifics I'm not aware of. The second it passed on a 4-1 vote, I voted no, all others voted yes.
So at that point
that's
is
where
when
it's
we
at.
started the petition. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All I got to say is I live in the Stenberg edition, and my name is Joe Cantor again. But I guess Walt Puller, I talked to him one day, he said something about next year, there's a sewer project's going to go on in our neighborhood where I live now. And I'm just wondering, is it going to follow through next year or not?
That's interesting that you asked about the Stenberg Edition mill and overlay. We have our city engineer here, and I had asked him about that project before the meeting. Councilor Kaler and I.
Pete's quite all right, but yeah.
Sit on the Public Works Committee. I believe in our capital investment plan, it's slated that way. I don't think that's a guarantee of completion. As we go into construction season, that'll probably become more clear.
Yeah, okay. Well, because it was supposed to be something that was supposed to be done like 3 years ago. They were saying that they were going to get it done, or we're going to do it, and it gets postponed every year. And I'm wondering, when is it really going to happen? Because the sewer lines and stuff are really getting bad in there too. So that's where I'm at.
I would think that we just had this discussion, and I think it's the council's desire to complete these projects as we're able.
Okay.
I have a child that goes to daycare in Stenberg, actually 2 children, and I would like to see your streets fixed as well.
There's a lot going on. We'll see what happens.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Council Mayor. Steve Blair, 1301 7th Avenue again. Just a quick question. Did the council ever meet with the county board or any county officials and tour the LEC facility prior to making their decision on the Kutaska? I mean, did you sit down with the county board and say, you know what, we want our police department to be in their building? Or did you just listen to whoever said that the sewage was flowing through the ceiling and it was contaminated all over, and, you know, which is baloney. I worked there for 30 years. I know what the issues were, and sometimes it was beyond Dean's, it wasn't his fault. I mean, but he fixed it all, and he did it immediately.
I toured the old LEC, the current LEC, which is beneath the jail, on the day that February 2nd, 3rd, I shouldn't have said that, don't quote me. The city and the county did have a meeting in the county boardroom regarding that topic. I visited the old LEC for all intents and purposes afterwards. I don't think Counselor Kaler, he used to work there, and I actually...
I was there that day,
You
though.
were?
Yeah.
The 5th?
Third.
3rd, okay.
No, was it Monday or Wednesday?
Darn it.
Darn
You
it.
did, you did. You did
Yes.
meet with the county officials, and you looked at the facility, and Pete, Pete worked there, so, I mean, I'm pretty sure that sheriff is still have his offices, and John has his offices, I think he still works.
Yep.
And the city chief used to have an office there, you know. So what is it with that building that didn't appeal to him, or, you know?
Well, I think we discussed last week, and we started with the cost of what they wanted for the space.
Well, you see the cost analysis right here. I mean, is this,
You asked me, but that's the decision we made because of the cost and the bigger size. Then that's just for part of the size. It would be the older 5,000 square foot like we're at now, and like they had before, I should say.
but,
Not the whole
I
thing.
mean, I think your city attorney can agree with me that you don't know the cost. You haven't provided us anything. So I don't know how you can use that as an excuse.
Thank you. Mr. Calder,
It'll be short.
thank you.
Counselor, I checked my notes, what I referred to when I said, I'm sorry. Thank you. When I said, Counselor Holden, you said the best decision is to go to Kutaska bar none. That was a quote. So I'm gonna assume
Oh, I
that
said
you.
bar none on the one thing. I don't remember if I said it on that one, too. But I did say,
I'm gonna
I did
go
say
look.
about the police department, bar none.
I'm gonna go look at the tape again
Okay,
tonight.
that's fine. That's fine if I did.
We can let that pass.
Yes.
Councilor Wagner, you said no remodel, nothing. It's cheaper to go to Kutaska. We've all had an opportunity to look at the cost analysis. There was a request for 10,300 square feet at the new LEC. Who did that? Who requested 10,300 square feet? It's not necessary. The sheriff gets by with 5,000. The city's about the same size, so I'm going to reiterate something. 22% of a football field is a lot of space. I don't know, Chief is here. I would like to ask the chief how many personnel are on duty at any one given time to man the police station, if he could answer that now.
You want me to go up there so you can hear me?
If you're willing, please, Chief.
Do you want to sit here?
No, I'll sit right here.
Okay.
Never been so popular. I got 2 offers to sit. Thank you. Okay. So what was your question? I'm sorry. Oh, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. How many officers are on duty, or how many personnel are on duty in that building at any one given time?
It varies. We have administrative staff during the day. Generally at night we have 3.
So that would include a receptionist and a couple officers?
And the deputy chief and myself. Yep. And I would say the 10,000 square feet, we did 2 independent space studies as part of this whole thing. We did one with VKV initially. And we did another one with Kraus Anderson after that. Again, I don't have these in front of me, so I apologize. I'm not going to give the exact numbers. But the BKV one projected more of a 20-year growth projection. Can you hear me okay? Sorry about that. The BKV one was a more of a 5, 10, 15, 20-year projection on our growth and what that could possibly look like. So the planning was done in that point for that one. The Kraus Anderson one was substantially smaller and just focused on what our department would need on a typical base for a department our size in this day and age.
I think that answers my question. I took a drive around Kutaska today. I was wondering if the counselors that made this decision have any idea how many windows or how many doors are in that building. And as the chief, as he's here, maybe he can answer, when you put a window into a police station, it's not just a regular glass window. So do you have any idea how many windows are there?
Well, I didn't count them, but I definitely took a walk around and a walk inside, but I wasn't counting them. I know we have to get bulletproof glass on part of them.
I would say, before we do that, can everyone hear me? All right.
Yes.
Looking at, there are a lot of windows, obviously, and there's a few entry points. Our goal, like we said at the beginning, was to do the front half of the building in the most cost-efficient manner possible. It's funny you bring up windows because we looked at the windows again and again, and our analysis was we're going to wait on the windows, and there's possibly, and again, I apologize, I'm not a construction expert, but there's some kind of a treatment you can do that's substantially cheaper for windows rather than replace them for a bulletproof glass that you would apply to the existing window. That would be a route we could look at as well. Again, I'm just telling you, these are the same conversations I've been having with everyone as well about the cost of this specific building and what we can do to exist in that structure, as well as we looked at a lot of other structures in town too for the past 2 years. Not my forte, I'm going to tell you right now. I run a police department, and I appreciate any questions about the operations or functions about a police department, but I can answer what I've participated in this study. So the space needs and everything like that I can speak to.
Okay. Thank you. And thank you for making the meth bust. A little aside. The facility has 60 windows. If they were to be bulletproof, that would be a pretty big expense. That's a big building. If you have 2 or 3, maybe even 4 personnel on duty at one time, you drive around that building, just imagine yourself in the football field, and there's 2, 3, maybe 4 people in that building. It's like a warehouse.
Mr. Calder, if I may, I deeply appreciate your testimony as well as everyone else. I'm not intervening to tell you to go sit down, please know that. I'm intervening because I think is where the discussion is going with this issue. This has gone on, I think, since a committee of the whole meeting in November. Is there anything that would change the council's mind at this point? Because I think that's what you want to ask.
Yes, absolutely. And considering the fact that you all have cost analysis comparison now with the 3 figures we were given, do you have any questions for me? Is there anything wrong there? Because in my opinion, Kutaska is the most expensive thing you could ever do. And you want to go ahead with it. Could you respond? And could you rescind that vote that you took? Could you rescind it and look at other options? That's all I have to say. I would like an answer.
I know where I'm at on this issue. Like I said, to me, it's a space issue and a location issue. It doesn't have to do with the police department. I want to reiterate that we have a wonderful police department. For the other counselors, if they would like to speak to that, the floor is open.
I'd like to speak a little bit. I wasn't going to speak tonight because of all that's going on, but I'll tell you something. I have a friend that's 91 years old. He was police chief at Grand Rapids, Minnesota. He was in the department for 40 years. Grand Rapids has a town of about 10,000 people roughly, and they have about double what our police force is, which makes sense, because they're twice as big, okay? They just built a brand-new LEC there, $75 million. 75. The city godfathers there did not want to go into that. They had always been in the municipal building there, okay? They're separate from the deputies in the county. And they like that. They work well together with the deputies. They go on drug busts, whatever. They help each other out. But there's reasons sometimes why they wanted to stay their own. And they stayed their own. And what they got is 3 or 4 offices, or 5, whatever it is, and then they got their cars. And they work hard every day, keeping that town safe, that beautiful city safe. They did not want to be in the same building at the cost of $75 million for this brand-new building. They stayed where they are, and they're happy. I look at that and I think, wow, it is possible. And I think my own feeling is, after working for the city for 40 years myself, 40 years as their electrical person, then I know what it's like if you want privacy, or if you want to be your own separate identity, or whatever you want to call it. There's reasons for that too. And so I mean, this has been going on for like a couple of years now, trying to decide what to do. And I waited out night after night after night thinking about it. And I think, just a minute now, my turn now. I think it is the best option. I really do. That's my heart. Because I'm listening to what I think is a great police department, and I think they'd like to be on their own. I really do. I could be wrong, but I think they do.
My turn?
Yeah.
Okay. I appreciate that. And I think Chief would agree with you and go along with that.
Yeah, I think he would.
If we would have had, Councilor Wagner, if we would have had square footage for the old, forgive me, old LEC, we could have put together figures for that possibility as well. So I'm not going one way or the other, but I'm saying, you know, you take a drive around that building, any old structure, I've never been in construction. A hammer doesn't fit in my hand. But I'll tell you what, anytime you try to go into an older building, stuff pops up that you never expected. That's why estimates are called estimates. And so for you to be inclined to go to the Kutaska is just, to me, it's unfathomable.
You know what the beauty, excuse me, you know what the beauty of America is? We've all got our own views. So far, America, you have your view and I have my view, right? And when and then I'm looking, I'm honest, I wouldn't lie to you. I try to figure out the best way to save money for International Falls.
If you look at the gray hair in this meeting, you'd realize a lot of people are on fixed incomes. The chief wants to talk.
I'm one of those. No, I'm not on a fixed income. I'll tell you the truth. But I am an elderly person.
Chief, before, I would like to limit the discussion. Now it's been over 5 minutes. I want to go back to that. I do not, like I said, I've reached out to the council here on the record. I think you're asking if they would be flexible. The feedback that I've gotten is no. With that, please proceed, Chief Koscheck.
I think it would benefit everyone if I kind of let you know what the plan is, and no plan has been accepted yet by anyone. Can you hear me okay? I'm sorry. My plan is to present a cost analysis of the space. Once we get this worked out, no monies have been spent or approved or anything. And I've talked to y'all, and this, I don't know that this has been explained to everyone, so I apologize. And I'd like to explain that. My plan is at the appropriate meeting, once we get these costs, to have these shown of what each aspect of the renovation is, so we can have a more candid discussion. It doesn't help anyone with so many unknowns in place to just say, we're all kind of arguing the same points. None of us, and myself included, want to spend more money than we have to. That's the goal for this whole exercise we've been doing. I don't think we're at a point yet, and I understand exactly where you're coming from. I talked to you at length for quite a while about it. I want to show everyone what we're planning on doing, and that's part of this. The space analysis was a part of it, and now we dial into what the cost for each part of the project is, and I think at that time we can have a more in-depth discussion on the building itself. But I just wanted to let everyone know we haven't spent or approved any money yet. This is looking at the space and what each part of it's going to cost. So I just want to let everyone know that.
Yeah.
Thank you. Do you have anything additional, Mr. Calder?
No, I'm just waiting for a vote to see if we could rescind that previous vote. Is that possible?
I would entertain it, and the floor is open. If I don't hear one, I'm going to proceed with...
If we did that, it would give everyone an option to look at this more clearly and maybe unite the community rather than have this division in the community.
Is there a motion on the floor to change course on this matter to the council? I would entertain such. I want to finish this and get that out. There is not a motion on the floor for that. Thank you, Mr. Calder, and I appreciate your time.
Denny up, Denny.
Whoever would like to come forward who has not spoken, please come forward at this time.
My name is Lawrence Micus, 901 8th Street. One of the gentlemen said earlier about 13,000 square feet, what do you need 13,000 square feet? You got 4877, 5,000, and 13,000. Now, has Kutaska been asked about providing an estimate for maybe like a 6,000 square foot building? I know you build it bigger, you can build it cheaper, but 13,000 square feet is more than twice of what the other two estimates are.
Kutaska, I know that's kind of become the name of the project that's slated to become the new police station. The city owns that building.
We own it now.
Okay.
The city physically owns it. So just to be clear, we don't have to reach out to Kutaska in that.
They sold it for $1, right?
I am not aware of those figures.
Owner that sold it back to the city for $5,000. So I'm wondering why for $1.
Please continue, Mr. Micus.
No, I think that's about it. I apologize because I wasn't like at the last meeting. It sounds like I missed quite a bit, but when you look at this 13,000 square feet and the 70 cents cost per square foot, I just don't understand where that's coming from in comparison to the other. What are the other two? Are those companies that want to do a new build?
I want to eliminate any confusion, and that Councilor Wagner just pointed it out. That is not an internal city document. Mr. Calder provided that. I have not reviewed it personally. Our finance staff hasn't. I'm not saying that it's wrong or right, but that isn't something that the city put out.
Okay.
I just want to make sure that we're all on apples to apples.
Well, it just seems like 13,000 square feet is an awful lot. And I know you build it bigger, you can build it cheaper, but this building is already in existence. Okay. So where's all the costs coming from? To fix this building? Repair it?
Yeah, yeah. There's some spots we need to fix, like a roof we'd like to put on it, a good roof. That's the heart of the building.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe,
On the side wall, side of that building.
anyways, air conditioning units, we're looking at a couple. And then there's some code stuff we gotta do, but yeah, yeah, I don't know what else to tell you. We own it, and we're gonna fix what we gotta fix.
What about those big steel buildings they always advertise that put up one of them and rework the inside? I mean, that might be something to consider.
Thank you.
We got Dennis back here.
Please come forward.
My name is Dennis Benreen. I live at 1902 Main Avenue, International Falls, Minnesota.
Thank you.
Pete, I've known Mike most of his life, as long as he's been here for 40-some years. Pete and I have been neighbors for many years, and I'm going to stand up here, and I'd like you guys to reconsider your motion on this project. For the simple reason, I think what's going to happen is you're going to get a referendum to join the two police forces. And then when you spend this $5 million, what are you going to do with it? That's my question. Can you answer that?
$5 million, I don't know why we're talking $5 million, Dennis.
Well, what do you think? Mike, come on.
What we're talking about,
I got people that I know that have been contractors that know construction work.
Yeah.
And this don't happen. This $1.5 million don't happen. It goes up. And what about that place up there? How's the water and sewer? You know anything about that? No, you don't know nothing about that, right? Is that got to be fixed? You're talking about these windows and stuff? You don't even know what you're talking about, when you're talking about $1.5 million to get that building going. So I'm asking you two to reconsider what your motion. Because if you do spend $5 million on that, and then you get a referendum to join the two police forces, what are you going to do with this building? Consider it. That's all I got to say.
Thank you.
Well, just ask a question. You're asking for a vote, and I just have a question. Is there a possibility of asking our counselors, number one, to get a county cost analysis all broke down, a cost analysis broke down, maybe have some general contractors go in there and the fire marshal and your building inspector, okay?
Ms. Ball,
We have a town hall, so we can ask questions. Can you please put the vote off so we can ask our questions? Because 5 minutes isn't enough for this vote.
the decision, and I want to share with the room, so again, that we're all on the same page, the decision currently that was made at the February 18th, 2025 City Council meeting was a 4-1 vote to proceed forward with the Kutaska project. The council was elected to carry out the duties and functions of managing this municipality and moving it forward. We don't always agree with each other's decisions. There are options to, I don't know the word that I would use, but to contest it, that may or may not be in the charter, and I can't speak to anything more. The council has been asked several times to change course on this evening. I want to maintain decorum, and once again, I think that that's steadfast. I know that I'm one person. I can't change that even if my feelings are different, and I think that we'll continue with that. So is there anybody else that hasn't had the opportunity or would like to speak? Please, Mr. Valentine.
Bill Valentine again, 1504 Fifth Avenue East. It's been hashed around, you guys have been asked the question. My concern with, and I wasn't at the meeting last week, I was working out of town, but the numbers that I heard from you guys on this side of the table, for the most part, was $1.6 million on the Kutaska building, okay? When we were back here, I believe it was in December, Kraus Anderson made their pitch. First one was $5 million, and then it was $3 million in a two-phase, 1.9, and then the rest at the second phase. Now you guys came up with a number of $1.6 million, and I'm assuming that's using city employees to cut the cost down. So my question to you guys would be, I don't feel comfortable. You don't give us as citizens to be informed an accurate cost. You said $1.6 million. Will you change the verbiage in that? In your motion that you guys carried on a 4-to-1 vote to say it will be no more than $1.6 million. Then we can live with that as citizens, okay? We can look at this and say, okay. But if you go, and I've been in construction my whole life, and someone made the comment earlier, you tell Kraus Anderson to go in there, and what if it goes over 1.6? What if it's 3? What if it's 3.5? There's no end in sight, guys. You have to be realistic. No one in this room, okay, is against our police department. We have a fantastic police department, okay?
Yep.
And no one is saying that. We
got
need to
that.
know a cost as a taxpayer. We do. And we didn't get that last week. I watched the video several times. We didn't get that from you. 1.6 from him over there was a starting point. It might be more, it might be less. Those were the exact words that were said. How can you guys honestly make a decision for that amount of money for the citizens of our city? I just don't understand it. You can't do it. You really can't do it, guys. Be honest. We got to have a cost. Would you hire a guy to come to your house and replace your windows and siding and say, Mike, it might be 10 grand, it might be 50 grand? Would you do that, Mike? No. And that's all we're asking you guys. And it's been going on for a long time. You guys aren't listening to us. That's all I'm trying to say. Pete, you're my counselor. I've left messages for you. I don't get nothing back. Nothing. That's all we're asking. And it's to the point, and you wonder why people get upset. I raise my voice now just because I'm excited. That's the way I talk. But you got to feel. There's got to be something there somewhere. Guys, you can't have an open-ended checkbook. It's never ending.
Mr. Valentine?
I'm done. Thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it. Really do.
Thank you. You can, I was going to say that if you had anything to add, you could, but as I said, I think that if the discussion on, as we called it, Kutaska, or the city-owned building slated to be the police department, that decision has been made by the council. So I can't say anything more. We've talked about this. I know that several citizens want to be on the record. That's democracy. We appreciate it. But
Yeah.
I'm up here. I know these folks well enough. I don't think that.
You guys have made your decision. That was made last week. You voted. But you voted with an open-ended checkbook, an unlimited checkbook. All I'm asking for you guys is to rescind that and put a dollar amount in there. Let us know an accurate cost. That's what we're asking. It's not there, guys. I'm serious, it's not. And if you guys are listening to your constituents, you would hear that from them. I'm just a guy that lives in South Falls.
Thank you, Mr. Valentine.
Thank you very much.
Mayor Jill, one thing.
Excuse.
We had new information here tonight. Chief said, no money's been spent. We're going to have somebody look at the building. If the costs come in too high, we're not going to do it.
Mr. Blair, I'm not honoring our conversation. Some folks have been up twice for both, is what I'm trying to impress.
Asking for a town call meeting
Upon
the Kutaska building, because it's gonna just take a lot of money.
And right now, discussion is limited to this council and whoever is speaking. The decision on Kutaska, I believe, is inflexible. I've been asking if there's a motion or different consideration the public has. So, Ms. Benedicts, please.
Okay. Now that I'm cooled down and I have something else to say. So, one of the things that was brought up last time, and obviously this is about the LEC and the police department, was Councilor Wagner had said that going into the Kutaska building was the cheapest option, utility-wise also. And what was left out of the public was that all of Cooch County owns the LEC building now, correct? Yes? We own it. We already own it. right? And one of the things...
Ma'am, when you're referencing the law enforcement center that's attached to the courthouse?
Correct.
That's county
Cooch
owned.
County already owns it.
Correct.
We already pay for it. Our tax dollars already pay for it. We already own it, correct?
That's correct.
Right. So, with that being said, in one of the side meetings, I don't know, the county meeting, I don't know the technical words for them, County Roach, in that meeting, because I watched it, said in there, when you guys were discussing if that was a good option to put the police department back in the LEC, was that we own it, all of Cooch County pays for it, so we will be paying utilities, heat and air conditioning in that building, even if nobody is in that building. So therefore, taxpayers are going to be paying for the heat and air conditioning in that building when it sits empty. So therefore, we'll be paying for utilities in the two Tasca building and the LEC building at the same time. So therefore, it's not going to be cheaper for taxpayers because we're going to be paying for both buildings. So not a cheaper option.
Yeah, it is.
No, it's not, because we'll be paying for both. Our taxpayers will be paying for both. We'll be paying for both utilities at the same time. So not cheaper.
Yeah, it is.
And when you're talking about,
Say it is.
It's getting late in the evening. We're going to continue the meeting. If you have not spoke or would like to speak again, you can continue. But this discussion currently is between the council and Ms. Benedict's. Please continue.
so then when you're talking about just slapping a roof on it and getting in there, somebody else brought up the doors and windows, which I was already going to bring up anyways. There is a code to follow before police even get in the building, and that is to have secure doors and windows, not only on the outside of the building, they have to be secure on the inside also. It has to have a secure gun room, it has to have security camera system, sally ports, there's lots of codes it has to follow. So you can't just slap a roof on it and just get them in there like you said last time. You said it tonight. I already have it wrote down. They had a chance to go into a brand-new building. They didn't want to. They have a chance to be in the LEC building. They don't want to. Even though Sue Sumner, I only know her as Sue Sumner, don't know what her married name is. She was up first last time. Proved that most of the problems were already fixed, which Cooch County, the county sheriff's department, whoever, fixed it already. And it has the 10,000 feet, it has the basement for training, it has the sally ports, or not the sally ports, but the garages that they wanted. It has everything that they asked for, and that's still not good enough. Why? So you pretty much said it. They don't want to be there because they don't want to be by the sheriff's department. So therefore, in another meeting that I watched on the sidelines, Chief Kostick said, relationships have been strained. So really the bottom line is they don't want to be there because they don't want to be by the sheriff's department. They want as far away as possible. So therefore, the taxpayers have to pay for that. They are separated by the courthouse. That's not good enough. That's not good enough. There's a building with already secure doors and windows. All the things have been fixed. There's enough square footage, the 10,000 that they asked for, the training room that they asked for, and that's not good enough. But us taxpayers have to pay more money.
Ms. Benedict's, do you have an ask of the council?
Yes. Why is that not good enough? Why do we have to pay more money? It's a completely good building that's already sitting there that taxpayers are already paying for. We already are going to have to pay utilities this winter when it's sitting empty. So why is that not good enough? It's already been fixed. All the problems have already been fixed. Why is that not good enough? It has everything that the police department asked for. I watched all the meetings. They were given everything that they asked for. Everything that they asked for, they were given.
I would recommend to reach out to your counselors. Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there any more comment at this time? Mr. Davis.
My name is Glenn Davis, 1702 15th Avenue, International Falls. Excuse the voice, I fight a little sinus cold. I am also in agreement, my wife and I, of reconsidering this. I believe it was helpful for the chief to explain that no expenditures have been made, and an analysis will be done. So I would ask the council if they would reevaluate the situation once a more firm number is in on the cost it would take to redo the Kutaska building. Maybe that is the best option, maybe it is not. There was some other information presented this evening that was very helpful to me in understanding the situation. But if they come back and give a cost analysis of the long-term costs of each, I believe there was 3 options presented on this, and maybe you, Counselor, had others.
That's not our presentation.
No, I realize it's not yours.
It's not. You are correct. That's what we're waiting for, a more concrete number, no doubt about it. No money's been spent. We don't plan on spending any. Exactly what you said, I agree with you 100%.
Right. This was from a citizen that brought this up, so I'm not referencing that as yours. I'm just asking that when that analysis is done, will you reevaluate the total cost package with the other options, the empty buildings, cost of windows, et cetera? That is my request as a taxpaying citizen to, before going forward with the expenditure of money, reevaluate it. Maybe it would be helpful if you presented to us a column, like an Excel spreadsheet, that showed the cost. I believe, was it you that did an analysis of city costs?
No, I'm a lawyer, I don't do math.
No, it was.
That was probably Emma.
Good answer.
I
don't do math.
That was the January meeting, I believe.
But it wasn't me.
I believe it was the January meeting. That was a good analysis of the city expenses of the last year. Could that be done for this? Each column, break down the total cost, long-term costs, immediate costs, and give us something to look at of more hard numbers that can be more logically evaluated.
I think that the city, irregardless of what happens in the future, has that fiduciary responsibility, and I'm looking at Ms. Rudd, and I have complete trust in her ability, and as the mayor, and having the agenda, that's certainly something before any more significant votes are taken that I would ask for going forward, that we know where we're at with this project. The council as a whole can vote any way that it wishes, but at the very least, the information should, and I would ask, be presented to the public.
Thank you, and that would help us to understand if this is going to be a long-term, a very expensive project, could it be reconsidered? Is there a better option? But thank you for your time. I appreciate your consideration of it.
Thank you. Is there any other discussion or business before the council at this time?
Can I quickly come up and just...
Please.
I just think it's really important to make some clarification points. I just had to kind of pull the minutes just to make sure that I was remembering the meeting correctly. So just to kind of refresh the public that the motion that was approved at the last meeting was to move forward with Kraus Anderson for renovation of the Kutaska building for the police department for design and construction services. We have not let bids. This is a step. This is one step of many steps that all come to council, that are all made in motions in public meetings at which you can make public comment. This is one of many. So we have underwent our space needs study with both, I believe it's BKG Group, as well as Kraus Anderson. We've scaled back scope. We've asked staff to look at scope. That is actually how we got to the $1.6 million amount. That is not based on staff doing work. I think that's been kind of a somewhat misconception. The comment that I think was intended to be made or interpreted was that we could potentially lower that $1.6 million by utilizing city staff to do some, not all, some work on the project. But again, I think that would be somewhat minimal work, whether it be demolition or some electrical work by some of our bargaining members that are staff. And so we are working collectively with Kraus Anderson as well as Northland Securities in order to minimize the financial impact on taxpayers. We are all looking at this very closely. And then as it relates to some comments that were made, as it relates to the LEC building sitting empty, just from a outsider perspective, I have very little concerns about that building sitting empty because we know for a fact that there are departments over at the county that are needing to utilize some of that space if we do not occupy that space. So I believe that they will be able to fill that space one way or another. However, I do believe, yes, it's important that that space is filled, but I don't believe that if the city doesn't fill it, that it will not be filled in some form or fashion. But yes, I think points that were made by Mr. Davis and others that, yes, the public needs a proper representation of both the scope and the entirety of the project, as well as the cost of the project and the impact on taxpayers. I don't think anyone here is disputing that. So I just think that making that very aware that we have every intention of making sure that you're aware of the financial impact, but this is a somewhat phased approach. This is not, one meeting. One meeting doesn't mean that, the police department's moving tomorrow. So I think that just needed to be somewhat said and clarified from at least a staff perspective watching. So
That was excellent, Emma.
Thank you.
Thank you, Emma. With that being said, we have some reminders. We have a housing development open house March 6th. Is that Thursday?
That's Thursday.
Thursday, this Thursday, 6 to 7:30 p.m. We also have an open house for the water treatment plant rehabilitation project, which is March 13th. I don't know what day that is.
A week from that Thursday.
A week from next Thursday, from 5 to 7 p.m. And last but not least, next regular city council meeting, Monday, March 17th, 2025, at 5:30 p.m. With that being said, I think
it's worth noting that the water treatment plant meeting is here, not at the plant, because I think that could be misinterpreted.
Thank you, Emma. Yeah. Both meetings will be here in the council chambers. With that being said, this meeting is adjourned.